As nice as it was to finally reach the mountaintop, unfortunately we cannot celebrate for long because the work begins all over again. And I can promise you this, just based off of pure logic and the cap, it's going to be a pretty different team next season. Quite a few people are going to have to be moved out. But looking back at the stats, what a postseason run for Jonathan Drouin and Steven Stamkos. A magnificent playoff run. Somehow, some way, we ended up winning the Stanley Cup, which is still just absolutely insane. And there you see it, the Charlotte Checkers also win the Calder Cup. But it is official, the Stanley Cup, it is ours. But like I said, we don't have too long to celebrate. By the way, Philly, back-to-back President's Trophy winners, and they have not won anything. Looking at the awards, though, Jamie Benn wins the Art Ross and the Hart. Erik Karlsson upsets Drew Doughty for the Norris Trophy. Patrick Kane wins his second consecutive Lady Byng. Travis Soy, I believe, Travis Soy wins the Calder for Calgary. Of course, the Conn Smythe goes to Demko. Nedeljkovic gets the Vezina and the Jennings Trophy in Carolina. Jarrett gets the Masterton from Nashville. Jordan Staal upsets Patrice Bergeron for the Selke. So a shocking turn of events there, as we have a new Norris and a new Selke winner. Jamie Benn also wins the Ted Lindsay Award, and the Rocket Richard goes to Alex Ovechkin. Of course, the Calder Cup goes to Charlotte. It's now been quite a while since we've seen Utica win that. And taking a look at the awards, do we get any hardware? And we do. Joseph Raymakers ends up winning the Goalie of the Year award, joining the likes of Demko and Ty Edmonds in winning that trophy. Sergei Tolchinsky wins the MVP of the playoffs. Now, as I said, it's guaranteed to be a different team this year because we have a hell of a cap situation coming up. Bo Horvat, a UFA, although I think it might actually be an RFA situation with him. Sorella needs a new contract. Stamkos, Lindholm, and Castles all need new contracts. Defensively, Stetcher, Parayko, Renat Baliev need new deals. Raymakers needs a new deal. Chychrun, Puteau, Matainen need new deals. Kiru and Askew also need new deals. You guys get the point. We have a lot of work to do in the upcoming offseason. But before that, of course, we have the draft. And I do believe we have a strong chance at getting the first overall pick due to the trades we made at the beginning of the season. The Florida Panthers finished dead last. Montreal there as well. We have a decent chance, guys, at getting the first overall pick. Let's hope it happens. Although if it doesn't, maybe a certain somebody will be traded so that we end up getting it anyway. And as we enter the draft, there you see it. The first overall pick belongs to the Vancouver Canucks. But guys, before moving forward, we have a big deal that we need to make. Taylor Hall and two prospects to the Ottawa Senators for the new Norris winner, Erik Karlsson. Yes, I know, I didn't give up on that dream of the defenseman. Bottom line is, you look at the cap difference between Hall and Karlsson, and by the time you see my vision for the final roster, it'll make a lot more sense. But simply put, because of people that we need to resign, Taylor Hall is simply not affordable. And aside from that, we won the cup without him. We really did. He played 2 playoff games. He was great for us. But I am more than happy to have our top line be Drouin, Matthews, and Stamkos moving forward. And now for the first overall pick, our first overall pick since we drafted Austin Matthews. And there was only one man. It is the left-wing sniper with medium elite potential. It is Savage, taken with the first pick. I'm hopeful that in the next few picks we don't see a franchise player. And actually, as I'm looking right now, Boston traded Patrice Bergeron to Washington, which is very interesting because we might have some dealings coming up with the Bruins. We actually get an offer for Ryan Suter. Yeah, we don't need that cap. All right, so Ricci was top 6. Rhodes was elite. We're just making sure that there were no other elite players. They can... Wow, we just offered Shea Weber too. I think we're in the clear, guys, and I think we made a great choice with Savage as the first overall pick. With our next pick, 19th overall, we draft a medium top 6 potential sniper, Busenius. And with our third pick in the first round, 30th overall, it's the Swede, Johan Eriksson. Our first 2 picks of the second round, decent, not amazing. We strike out a little bit with the Finnish forward Tero Berg, who ends up being high bottom 6 potential. Clearly we should have gone with Hogan. He ends up going to Detroit. But we do, with the 5th pick of the second round, take a goaltender Robert Klingberg. He ends up being starter potential. With the 15th pick of the second round, we draft another forward. It's Ernest Brown. He only ends up being top 9 potential, low top 9 potential. Things get a little bit better for us, though, as we approach the end of the second round. With the 21st pick, we take the Swede Hedstrom, who ends up being medium top 9 forward potential. And in the 23rd pick, we take Patrick Harvey, the American, with top 9 potential as well. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just skipping here to the end of the draft, but here are the names you guys should look out for, and you should look out for them because the majority of them will be sticking around. This was probably our best draft from top to bottom, but again, for the sake of keeping this episode short, because these off-season videos do have the tendency to be a bit longer, for the sake of keeping it short, here is the list. Let's move on to the re-sign phase. Now, moving forward, things are going to be just a little bit tricky, and it's going to require quite a bit of precision on my part to make sure that we are able to re-sign everybody we wish to re-sign. So Bo Horvat will be qualified, will be sent a main offer, and we'll hope to sign him after. Same with Alexi Sorella. Priority number 1, re-signing Steven Stamkos. It is a goddamn necessity. We need to get him for as cheap as possible, but the only way to do that is to send him a ridiculously long contract offer. So I think to play it safe, I'm going to go with 6 years, and we'll see if he accepts $9 million on the dot, because having him until he is 37, he is guaranteed to regress at that point, but we need him now so we can continue to win championships. Same situation here for the most part with Lindholm, wanting a shitload of term. We'll see if we can get him at 7.8. The other 3, Castles, Kiru, and Cameron Askew, will all be tendered a qualifying offer for now, with the hopes of being able to re-sign them not too long from now. Chychrun is the other guy we're going to look to re-sign outright, as opposed to sending him a qualifying offer, and we'll go with the 2-year deal for now. We'll go 5-6 just to save a little bit of money, but we should be able to re-sign him outright. Troy Stecher, we will look to get at 6.1. Colton Parayko needs to be re-signed. Yeah, now you guys can kind of see what I was talking about in terms of really needing to play this safe. Renat Valiev will be sent a qualifying offer. A lot of our big names are up for grabs. Puteau and Matainen will both be qualified to start, and then we have to let go of Mark Frazier, and I believe that is it for the defenseman. No, even better, Mark Frazier retired. Saves me a little bit of time. And then the goaltenders, we need to qualify Raymakers, and that will do it for that portion of things. The question is now, who resigns? We have $35 million in cap space, and that is going to disappear very, very quickly. But let's do this. Let's advance day and see just how exactly this all pans out. Lindholm is back. Parayko, Stamkos, Stecher, Chychrun, and I'm pretty sure that's the group of guys we sent contracts to. So, and you can see down to $6 million or under $6 million in cap space. If everybody else is an RFA, we're in good standing, and we can move on to the re-sign phase, and that is exactly what we're going to do. I said re-sign phase. Free agency, man. We're moving on to free agency. Although it's pretty much a second re-sign phase, because we're not going to be able to sign any free agents. The focus is keeping this team together. Side note here, as we sim to free agency, Matainen and Puteau have both accepted their qualifying offers. Now, our first order of business is trading away Tom McEachran. He had a pretty decent season for us towards the back end, but I'm expecting a big amount of progression here from Raymakers. We sent McEachran and Andronov, who we just drafted, to the Washington Capitals for their first-round pick this season. Next up, it's a handful of prospects that we just drafted who might turn into something, but really we have prospects who are guaranteed to be better, along with a third-round pick this year to Boston for Danton Heinen, somebody we have been looking at for a while. We've seen the scoring numbers he's put up. We need somebody to fill the role that Taylor Hall left. Danton Heinen is our guy. Next up, it's another difficult trade to make, but I think we got some amazing value back. Elias Lindholm and a prospect we just drafted, Lawrence, to the Carolina Hurricanes for 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third-round pick. And now, of course, the Heinen trade makes a lot more sense for you guys. And our last trade, and this one hurts a little bit, but it's Troy Stecher and late-round picks in this year's draft to the Detroit Red Wings for their first-round pick and a third-round pick, both in this season. Simply put, Troy Stecher just got a huge raise. He's at $6.1 million. The fact is, we just acquired somebody, Erik Karlsson, who is a better version of Troy Stecher. This postseason confirmed to me that Valiev and Parayko are a solid pairing, and now we can put Tryamkin with Jones, Chychrun with Erik Karlsson. So Stecher, I thank you. I thank you so much for what you did. You had a pretty solid postseason run with the exception of that plus-minus. But Troy Stecher goes to Detroit, where he is a much-needed boost to their defense. So now that those deals are done, we have $15 million to work with. Of course, next year it's going to be rough. As you see, our centers right here, not one of them is signed beyond this year. But now we have players that we need to resign for this season. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be an uphill battle to make this team competitive over time. But I have the feeling we're going to be able to do it. Bo Horvat is going to be getting a new contract. Big year for him. He really needs to prove himself. He'll probably be a third liner, maybe even a fourth liner, but we'll see what he can do. Alexi Sorella, very similar situation, although I was impressed with him on the fourth line. Cameron Askew will be looking to make the jump to the NHL. He might not be able to now that we've acquired Heinen from Boston, but we will see what happens. Cole Castles entering the last year of his development. I don't know what to expect from him. We'll give him a 3-year deal, hopefully at 3.5. Jordan Kyrou, somebody again, 86 overall. I don't know if he'll stay there. He might reset back down to a lower number after this season. We'll see what happens. I am only going to give him a 1-year deal at $3 million. And then defensively, Renat Valiev, man, you know, he didn't have the greatest season. Jesus, though, he's looking for a lot of money. My God. Talk about getting overpaid, but he's young, so we will overpay for him and lock him up. He and Parayko, man, they have good chemistry together, and they did a marvelous job in the playoffs, so I have no problem trying to hold on to him and have them be our third pairing defensive, or our third pair on defense. Neither of them complained throughout the season about being on third pairing and about the ice time, so it looks to be a pretty good situation for us, and now we wait and see who re-signs. Although I should say this, I'll give you a look at the free agency. No big fish in terms of offense or defense. Ty Berry, Mark Stahl, and I believe Tuukka Rask hit free agency. Did he? Yes, he did. That is interesting. If he wasn't 34, I'd go for it, and if Demko didn't just win the Conn Smythe, I'd go for it. So let's do this. Let's sim forward and see if hopefully everybody resigns. We do have a couple offers out there as well to some free agent prospects. Only a handful though. And let's see, Bo Horvat is back. Raymond Martins, a free agent, has signed. Raymakers has accepted. Askew has accepted. Ryan Vandervlis, who is an RFA with Buffalo, has accepted. I doubt we'll get him. Buffalo will probably match. Adam Kadlec, a free agent, has accepted. Alexi Sorella has declined, citing the offer as being too low, but I'm pretty sure he's the only holdout, as Winnipeg is going after Tuukka Rask. I would not want to play him multiple times a year. We still have $13 million available as well, so I'm pretty sure Sorella isn't the only guy to decline, is he? No, he is not. Valiev, Castles, and Kyrou have not yet accepted. we'll go 475. 100K off of what Sorella requested, and then we'll see if we can get the other guys in here. And then, of course, we move forward to the preseason to see the progression levels. Renat Valiev, holy shit, that's interesting. A $5.7 million offer for 4 years from Florida. We apparently don't have the salary cap to match the offer, which is weird. I'm pretty sure we do, unless we just resign certain people. I'm going to have to take a look at this. But if we lose him, we get a first and a third out of it, which isn't the worst thing in the world. So we'll hit remind me in a few days. He's going elsewhere. Cole Castles has accepted. Kiru has accepted. We need the answer from Sorella so I can take a look. Vandervlis has stayed with Buffalo. Sorella, you gotta fucking answer me now, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. So now we need to see if we are actually going to lose Renat Valiev, and we are just on the border of not being able to afford him. $4 million. I think the Danton Heinen deal put it just a little bit overboard. That's not good at all. So here's the deal. I'm going to try and screw over the game here. Renat Valiev is not worth a first-round pick at all. He's worth maybe a second-round pick and a third. So I'm going to let him go to Florida. And then hopefully they can't come to terms on a contract. So we get Florida's first and third. Hopefully, I mean, I know it says he accepted and everything. Regardless, we're getting him back. I will absolutely trade for Renat Valiev once we get to the preseason. So let's go ahead and sim now to the preseason, and let's go get Renat Valiev back now that we have a first and a third. Now, as we tend to do, we're going to trade away prospects that we aren't going to keep anyway, and this time it's Harvey, who we just drafted, and a handful of low picks to the Islanders for a second-round pick next year. Next up, it's Operation Save Renat as we trade away two prospects we're not going to use, both bottom six forwards, and a flurry of picks, again, for Renat Valiev. Now, why was I willing to give up fourth-round picks? Because this is our current draft pick listing. As you can see, we have 6 first-round picks coming up. I don't know how many seconds because I'm too lazy to count. A shitload of thirds, and then no picks after the 4th round. So I'm fine with giving up some 4th-round picks, especially when we have 6 first-round picks. How's that asset management? Next up, we continue to cycle out players that we simply aren't going to use. Unfortunately, Retzer has fallen to 7D and Bo Meester to bottom 6 forward, so we send them to the Buffalo Sabres for their second-round pick next year. We certainly have enough this season. And our last bit of cycling out, it's Mashenko, Vatanen, and Kadlec, who we just signed. They're going to the Islanders for their second-round pick in 2024 and a third-round pick next year. So after all of that, the team is finally set, and guys, I think we've rebounded from losing Lindholm, losing Taylor Hall, losing Troy Stecher. I think we've rebounded in perfect fashion and have still set ourselves up to be contenders this season. 94, 94, 90 for the ratings. In Utica, 81, 85, 81. They could very well contend for the Calder Cup once again. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Of course, we'll begin the sim in the next episode. Jonathan Drouin, Matthews, and Stamkos. We need Matthews to break the 90-point mark this season. Second line, it's going to be Danton Heinen playing. He's now 26 years old. The stat line's ridiculous. And of course, you look at his career stats, I think he was a pretty solid pickup. He plays with Jared McCann and Gabriel Velarde. He's a terrible face-off man, only 66 rated. We'll have him on the right wing. If he struggles, he'll be replaced with Drake Caggiula, who is currently on the third line, with Castles and Jake Virtanen, and the fourth line, Alexi Sarella, Bo Horvat, and Jordan Kyrou. I love this lineup. I cannot wait to see what they can do. And defensively, my God, Chychrun, 89 overall. He should break 90 this season, playing with the reigning Norris winner, Erik Karlsson. Tryamkin and Seth Jones, this could be the hero line for our team. And then Valiev and Parayko, who were great in the playoffs. We're keeping them together. They have high chemistry with one another, and hopefully they can continue to dominate. And defensive, or a goaltender, I shouldn't say defensive, a goaltender, Demko, only an 85 to start the season. Raymakers has jumped to an 86 overall with that high elite potential. So Demko, once again, has competition. But of course, as the reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner, he'll have a lot of wiggle room and a big leash before we think about pulling him. In Utica, it's looking good. Gallant, top 6. Yoensu, elite. Wade Savage, who we just drafted #1 overall, is in at medium elite potential. Safronov, top 6. Top 9. Top 6. Nobody in this lineup is below a top 9 in terms of their potential. Defensively, now this is where we need to be on the lookout. We need better defensive prospects. All of these guys are only top 6. So it's a little bit disappointing. We need to find a way to replenish that part of the cupboard. Torsten Nyquist, elite potential, is the starter in Utica this season, with Raymond Martins, of course, the guy we just picked up on free agency. And that will do it for this episode. Needless to say, I am beyond excited to see what this team can do heading into the new year, to see if this team has what it takes to defend their championship. In the next game, I think maybe we'll tune in to the first game of the season to see that banner raised. But in the next game, we start the sim. We may even do the entire sim, as I've been doing lately. I'm not sure. But as always, guys, I thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button down below. Helps out the channel. And of course, I say it every time because I mean it every time. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to continue following this series as we look again in the next episode to defend our championship.